No doubt about it. But Father, we just speak into the lives that are here in this city, in this town, Father, that their hearts are softened, Father, that their minds are changed, Father, that your truth is poured into them, Father, and the things that are not of you, Father, those things go away. They cannot be both in our minds and our hearts and our bodies and souls, Father. So, Father, I just speak into these lives in this community, Father, that they receive you, Father. Whether they walk by the door here and hear your word, Father, or they come in and sit down and receive you, Father, however that works, Father, you're bigger than that. Father, we're not going to get caught up in how we think it needs to be done. We're going to get caught up in how you want to do it, Father. So show us. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Father. Thank you. Father, I speak over this highway going north, Father, because, Father, there's something going on out there that really isn't a part of what I believe in, Father. But Father, I just speak into those people as they go up this highway, that they just have an encounter that's beyond their understanding, Father. That it gets so heavy in the car, Father, they got to pull over, Father. They got to get out and run around and say, what is that? I got to know what that is. I got to know. Father, put question in their mind what they're going to do. Put question in their mind of what they encountered, Father. Put question in their mind to find out. And Father, I know there's Christians going up there to this thing this week. Some of them, Father, have the right direction, Father. Some of them are a bit lost. So, Father, for those that have the right direction, I speak protection over right now in the name of Jesus. Yes. That, Father, you give them the words to share to the right people at the right time, Father. They won't even have to study it, Father, because it's in their foundation, Father, of who they are. And, Father, that your glory, Father, for the word that they share. And, Father, for those Christians that are going up there to straddling the fence, Father, because I know some of them up there this week, Father, that, Father, it's not that pleasant for them because you've done this before, Father. It's not all that pleasant, Father, that they kind of get a stench in their nose and they go, Father, what is this? Why am I enjoying this anymore? Well, it's because you got something better. So, Father, stir those hearts and those Christians. And those, Father, that have no clue, Father, let them learn your truth, Father. Help them see that the stuff that's going on up there is just stuff. It's just actions and noise and whatever it is. And Father, it's none of it's helping, Father. So, Father, I speak into their minds, Father, that they get truth put into them, Father. How do you do that, Father? Father, you're bigger than anything we can imagine. So, how are you going to do this? Thank you, Father. Thank you. Thank you, Jesus. Father, open up the word tonight. Show us where we want to go with this tonight, Father. Father, penetrate our hearts. Those areas, Father, that need some chipping on, Father. Chip on those parts of our heart. Soften them up. Father, help us not to get caught up in what the world does or how we should do something. We just want to serve you, Father. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Yeah. We're good. All right. You know, God is bigger than any problem. But I want to go a step further. I want to share a quick testimony. When I was about 19 years old, I had heard about God's Word. I had been to churches and stuff and all of that, but I didn't get it. I didn't get it. 19 years old, Halloween night, I tried almost every drug that night. I drank a lot of jungle juice and a lot of different things. And I had a 53 Chevy was my pride and joy. And I had two buddies with me that they were along for the ride with me. And I'll tell you, God was with me that whole night because I never should have lived past that night. But I dropped one guy off, and I took the other one home over at Memorial Summit. And I came back in my 53 Chevy, and I was going over the top of Memorial Summit. At that time, it was a 2-lane road, pretty narrow. And I watched myself drive off the highway at about 55 miles an hour. And I can tell you everything had happened the whole time, all the way through, except for one piece of it I never got. Went up the side of the hill, and the truck started rolling, and I rolled back down, and I came back onto the road, and I hit the guardrail and took out a bunch of guardrail, and the truck ended up on the asphalt on the driver's side. Stereo blaring, but the engine had died. And I was living under the cab, on the asphalt. And the thing I don't know how it happened, I know who did it, but I don't know how he did it. My arm was in the door jamb. I was still holding on to the steering wheel with my right hand. In fact, the stereo was blaring, so I reached over and turned the music off. And I looked over, and my arm was in the door jamb, and the door was closed. That's not good news. But my door, it wasn't like this before the wreck. You go back about 6 inches before the back corner of the window of the frame, it was bent down like this, 6 inches, and then back, and then it went on down. My arm was in that area. Just enough room to pull my arm out. Highway patrolman shows up. I had gotten out from under the truck, and he looked at me and asked some questions, and I shared. And the fact that I could stand up was amazing in itself. He asked for my driver's license, and I got pulled over earlier that night, intoxicated, and I was mouthy, I know that. And I threw my driver's license like this, and it was somewhere, it ended up in the bottom of the seat, stuck under a spring. I found it later after I tore my truck apart. But, so I couldn't give him my driver's license. So he just had questions, and I gave him the answers. He asked me to count down from 100 down, and I got to like 97, and that was the end. And it was really weird because he was just letting me off on a lot of instances here that he could have just put handcuffs on me all the time. So then he goes, "You were under the cab of the truck," and I said, "Yes." And he goes, "The door is 4 inches off the asphalt." And I said, "My feet were under the running board." He goes, "The running board's almost on the asphalt." He says, you couldn't have been there. And he didn't believe me at this point. And I says, "But I was, and my arm was through the door jamb, and I turned the stereo off." And I was getting frustrated because I knew what happened. And he looks at me, he goes, your arm couldn't be in the door jamb. And then he looked down there, and he seen the top of the door. He stopped. He looked at me. He said, "God bless you." He didn't say because you lied. He didn't say anything. He just said, "God loves you." It was like God was talking to me at that minute. And then he called me home. And dropped me off. Asked me if I wanted to go to the doctor or the hospital. I said no, so he took me home. And none of that should have happened. But that's how it went. God was with me that night. Now, after that night, I had no interest in touching another drug. I had no interest. God took that away, just like that. I didn't ask God to take it away. I didn't ask God for anything. I was just an angry man that couldn't see how to do anything very well. And God protected me. So that's really what God was talking about, sharing with you tonight, this part of it. Out of that, He wants you to know how much He loves you. He wants you to know that each and every one of you, how much He loves you. We grab on to how much He loves us, but it's bigger than that. It's bigger than that. He was telling me something when I was coming over here. He says, "Do you know how to speak to the Father?" You know, our flesh rises up. It wants stuff, worldly stuff. He says, do you know how to speak to your body? Do you know you can tell it to sit down, settle down?
Amen.
Do you know do you know how to tell it who it belongs to? We need to learn that. All right, we're going to go to 1 Samuel. I'm shifting gears on you here, but it's okay. First Samuel 17. We'll start in 3. We're going to learn about David. Well, we know about David, but I want to read this because there's some stuff here. 3 through 9. The Philistines stood on a mountain on one side, and Israel stood on a mountain on the other side, with a valley between them. And a champion went out from the camp of the Philistines named Goliath from Gath, whose height was 6 cubits and a span, roughly about 11 feet tall. It depends there's different weights you can use. He had a bronze helmet on his head, and he was armed with a coat of mail, and the weight of the coat was 5,000 shekels of bronze. And he had bronze armor on his legs and bronze javelin between his shoulders. Now the staff of his spear was like a weaver's beam, and his iron spearhead weighed 600 shekels, and a shield bearer went before him. Then he stood and cried out to the armies of Israel, and said to them, why have you come out to line up for battle? Am I not a Philistine, and you the servants of Saul? Choose a man for yourselves, and let him come down to me. If he is able to fight with me and kill me, then we will be your servants. But if I prevail against him and kill him, then you should be our servants and serve us. Now let's jump over to 26. Then David spoke to the men. David had showed up on the scene. He spoke to the men who stood by him, saying, what shall be done for the man who kills this Philistine and takes away the reproach from Israel? Or who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God? Now David hasn't called him a giant. That's pretty important. He called him a Philistine, and he's a man that's speaking against his living God, against his people. Let's jump down to 31. Now when the words which David spoke were heard, they reported them to Saul, and he sent for him. Then David said to Saul, let no man's heart fail because of him. Your servant will go and fight with this Philistine. And Saul said to David, you are not able to go against this Philistine to fight with him, for you are a youth, and he a man of war from his youth. He'd grown up in battle. But David said to Saul, your servant used to keep his father's... But David said to Saul, your servant used to keep his father's sheep, and when a lion or a bear came and took a lamb out of the flock, I went out after it and struck it, and delivered the lamb from its mouth. And when it arose against me, I caught it by its beard, and struck and killed it. Your servant has killed both lion and bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine will be like one of them, seeing he has defiled the armies of the living God. Moreover, David said, the Lord who delivered me from the paw of the lion and from the paw of the bear, he will deliver me from the hand of this Philistine. And Saul said to David, go, and the Lord be with you. I'm going to skip over a little bit here. Let's go down to 44. And the Philistine said to David, come to me, and I will give your flesh to the birds of the air and the beasts of the field. Then David said to the Philistine, you come to me with a sword, with a spear, and with a javelin. But I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defiled. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hand, and I will strike you and take your head from you. And this day I will give the carcasses of the camp of the Philistines to the birds of the air and the wild beasts of the earth, and that all the earth may know that there is a God in Israel. Then all this assembly shall know that the Lord does not save with sword and spear, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give you into our hands. So it was when the Philistine arose and came and drew near to meet David, that David hurried and ran toward the army to meet the Philistine. Then David put his hand in his bag, took out a stone, and he slung it and struck the Philistine in the forehead, so that the stones sank into his forehead, and he fell on his face to the earth. So David prevailed over the Philistine with a sling and a stone, and struck the Philistine and killed him. But there was no sword in the hand of David. Therefore David ran and stood over the Philistine, took his sword, drew it out of its sheath, and killed him and cut off his head with it. And then the Philistines saw that their champion was dead. They fled. God was showing me in this that sometimes there's giants in our life, and we need to get past that. We need to quit looking at the giants, because although fear is not necessarily a bad thing, but if we allow fear to drive us, that this giant is bigger than us, we're never going to go out there and take that challenge. The whole army of Israel, they stood by. None of them would go out and fight this guy because he was big. David looked past who this man was, and he looked into who he was. His God would prevail. That's what he ran on. He didn't look at the battle. He looked at who he was. That's why I want you guys to grab onto what God wants to do. He wants us to see who we are. Let's go over to 1 Samuel. I'm sorry. Let's go over to Numbers. Numbers 13, 1 through 3. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Send men to spy out the land of Canaan, which I am giving to the children of Israel. From each tribe of their fathers you shall send a man, every one a leader among them. So Moses sent them from the wilderness of Paran, according to the command of the Lord, all of them men who were heads of the children of Israel. So these weren't just a band of men. These were the heads. These were the leaders that went out there. Think about this. He says, out to the land of Canaan, which I am giving to the children of Israel. This is God's promise. He's already spoken in. They're supposed to go out and spy it out, but he's already spoken that they're supposed to receive this. Let's go over to 26. Now they departed and came back to Moses when they're coming back from after they checked out the land. And all the congregation of the children of Israel in the wilderness of Paran at Kadesh, they brought back word to them and to all of the congregation, and showed them the fruit of the land. Then they told him and said, We went to the land where you sent us. It truly flows with milk and honey, and this is its fruit. You know, I would be warning each side right now. Nevertheless, the people who dwell in the land are strong, and cities are fortified and very large. Moreover, we saw the descendants of Anak there. The Amalekites dwell in the land of the south. The Hittites, the Jebusites, and the Amorites dwell in the mountains. and the Canaanites dwelt by the sea and along the banks of the Jordan. Then Caleb quieted the people before Moses and said, "Let us go up at once and take possession, for we are well able to overcome it." But the men who had gone up with him said, "We are not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we." And they gave the children of Israel a bad report of the land which they had spied out, saying, "The land, though which we have gone as spies, is a land that devours its inhabitants, and all the people whom we saw in it are men of great stature. We saw the giants, the descendants of Anak, came from the giants, and we were like grasshoppers in our own sight, and so we were in their sight." You know, why this bothers me so much is I think about the promises that God has showed us. Some of them individually, some of us as groups. And the land of milk and honey. And he said, it's yours. He didn't say if you go win it. He didn't say if you go and fight and take over the giants, if you feel like you're big enough to do this. He said, it's yours. He already promised it to him. We sometimes walk in that. Sometimes God says, here it is. And he gives it to us. And we go, well, yeah, but, you know, they talk me. You know, their dog tried to bite me. Whatever. And so we go back home. It's safe. We sit down. We can watch TV and listen to our worship on TV. And it's safe. And that's where we stay. And God doesn't move. It's not that he doesn't move. He's not moving through us because we're not allowing. I'm not beating you guys up. I'm talking to me too. I'm talking because sometimes we allow things to stop us. And this isn't just about us. When he was talking about these mighty men of God that are here and these mighty women of God that are here, he's talking about leaders, guys. He's talking about people that are going to go out there and speak into other people. Okay? This, you know, tonight is about us. Tomorrow is about the people you're going to see. We really have to work on that. God's been telling me that. He says, this moment's yours, but the next moment's not. It's for his glory. I'm going to share a story some of you may have already heard. There was a flood. And this man had his house built up on a bit of a knoll. He watched this flood go by. And his street was pretty deep in water. And then it just went out and it was just like a big lake. He's sitting there. He looked out. There's this girl, little girl. And she's about to drown. And she's in the water over her head. And she's just floundering. He gets up, runs and dives in the water, swims to her, gets her secure, catches a stop sign and holds on to her until they get rescued. So it's pretty neat. The next day, the newspaper got hold of her. They said, local hero saves little girl from drowning. Well, that was all pretty neat. But the guys down at the barber shop are sitting down and they're going, he saved her. He didn't know how to swim. He didn't know how to swim. See, they knew the rest of the story. Sometimes our giant may be doing something we have no clue how to do. Amen. You know, that one really hit me, and I'll tell you why. Because I can't swim. But if God said, get out there, Exactly. Let's go to Psalms 34. By the way, one of my giants, God's already dealt with it, but one of my giants was going and getting a new job. I don't know if I've ever shared this one too much with Jamie, a little bit, but, you know, I can go fix a car, I can go fix a truck, and it's no problem. But go get a job to go fix a car, to apply somewhere, the second I get near that building, my stomach knocks up, and it's just the flesh is all it is. It's just a lie is all it is. But it knocks up, and there's a big giant there. And until I have the job or they tell me to go away, it doesn't go away. And then the other part of the giant that I had, and this one's gone too, is I was trying to please those people so they know that I could do this. And I already knew I could do this. These are lies, guys. Don't let the giant steal it. Psalm 34. This is awesome. I will bless the Lord at all times. His praise shall continually be in my mouth. My soul shall make its boast in the Lord. The humble shall hear of it and be glad. O magnify the Lord with me, and let us exalt his name together. I sought the Lord, and he heard me, and he delivered me from all of my fears. They looked to him and were radiant, and their faces were not ashamed. That's powerful right there.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
This poor man cried out, and the Lord heard him, and saved him out of all of his troubles. And the angel of the Lord encamps all around those who fear him, and delivers them. O taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the man who trusts in him. O fear the Lord, you his saints. There is no want to those who fear him. The young lions lack and suffer hunger, but those who seek the Lord shall not lack any good thing. Come, you children, listen to me. I will teach you the fear of the Lord. Who is the man who desires life and loves many days that he may see good? Keep your tongue from evil and your lips from speaking deceit. Depart from evil and do good. Seek peace and pursue it. The eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and his ears are open to their cry. The face of the Lord is against those who do evil, to cut off the remembrance of them from the earth. The righteous cry out, and the Lord hears, and delivers them out of all their troubles. The Lord is near to those who have a broken heart, and saves such as have a contrite spirit. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers him out of them all. He guards all his bones. Not one of them is broken. Evil shall slay the wicked, and those who hate the righteous shall be condemned. The Lord redeems the soul of his servants, and none of those who trust in him shall be condemned. The Lord redeems the soul of his servants, and none of those who trust in him shall be condemned. That's,
Oh, man.
you know, our God is good. So what is our giant? What is it? We need to learn to deal with that. As soon as we recognize there's something there that we're given any time to, we need to recognize what it is. We're always always going to be finding something in our life that's not right, that's not of God. That doesn't condemn us, but we do need to work it out of our life. We need to give it away to God and get that healing in that area. He wants to love on us, guys. He wants to take us further. You know, the song that we sung, I want to go deeper. He wants to take us deeper. He wants us to breathe Him in and receive all of that. It's not something we can put into words. It's not something we could draw a picture of. He wants to fill us up. There's a lot of battles out there. This community has pulled in a lot of ways. I was walking out. I don't know if you guys ever walked across the railroad bridge. That's the first time I've ever walked across there. But I was walking across there, and it was like there was divisions. Every step I took, there was divisions. So it wasn't like there was a battle. It was like there was a battle, there was a battle, there was a battle, a battle. Constant. Don't be caught up in it. You just need to find out what God's doing. So I just want to open this time up. If there's anybody that would like prayer, dealing with their, I'll call them giants, because I know that I had giants that I had to deal with. God took care of them, but He's not done. He's not done with it. So anything you want to get rid of,